So here is the cherry basket cloth. It's a knitted washcloth in a dense but not overly thick basket weave stitch. It's still really nice and flexible, and it's got this wonderful edging of little red bobbles looking like cherries brimming over from a basket, hence the name, which can be really nice for scrubbing or getting into the corners, or just because it's an attractive detail. It's going to be very pretty in your kitchen or in your bathroom. And it could also be used as a table mat if you wanted to put something on it, maybe a lovely bowl of cherries. It would look really fantastic like that, or to put under a vase or something just to absorb any condensation that comes down the side. Let's see how it's made. To make the cherry basket cloth, I've used this Yarnsmith's Cotton Aran from Wool Warehouse. I have used about 40 meters of the main colour, and I've used about 16 meters of the contrast colour for the edging. It's an Aran weight yarn, and it's not a mercerized cotton. It's a soft, fluffy and very absorbent cotton, so perfect for a washcloth. I've used a 4mm circular needle. This circular needle is slightly longer than needed. You probably want to have about 60 centimeters worth of stitches on there as you work around the edges. It's a 15 centimeter cloth and the edging is worked in one. If you don't like using a circular needle, you can work the main section, the main color section, on straight needles and then use double pointed needles for the edging, or you could possibly work each edge separately using straight needles. You'd have extra ends to weave in if you did that. You're going to want to cast on 30 stitches to start, and you can use any cast on you like. I'm going to use a continental long tail cast on. "28, 29 and 30. So we'll turn. I always like to put a little knot in my tail so that I don't accidentally end up knitting it. And then for the first row, you're going to knit all the stitches. And this is our right side row, first of all. We'll turn the piece. And now we're ready for the second row. The second row is our wrong side row, and we're going to knit 2, purl 2, and knit 4. And that purl 2, knit 4 is our repeat. So we'll be continuing that all the way to the end until we have too few stitches to work a full repeat. Purl 1, 2, knit 1, 2, 3 and 4. So now we have 4 stitches on the end, not a full repeat. So we're going to work here 2 purl stitches and 2 knit stitches. And that completes the second row. Turn again, and now we're back on the right side. We're going to knit 1, purl 1, knit 2 to start the row. And you can see we're also following in this row what we did on the row before. So you can see the knit stitches are sitting above knit stitches and the purl stitches are sitting above purl stitches, apart from the edge stitch, which is always knitted. So our repeat then is to purl 4 and knit 2 to the last 2 stitches. There's the repeat. Purl 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2. And with only 2 stitches left at the end, we're going to purl 1 and then all our edge stitches are knitted, so we'll knit one. You can start to see almost like a ribbing forming here with 2 knit stitches and 4 purl stitches in between them all the way along. So we'll turn again, and here we're going to do the same as row 2. So we'll knit 2 to start, and then we're going to purl 2 and knit 4 all the way along, and again this is going to follow the pattern that we've established here. So purl 1, purl 2, knit 1, 2, 3 and 4, purl 2 and knit 4. And here we are with 4 stitches remaining, and we're going to purl 2 just as we have in the previous row and knit 2. And turn again. This is row 5, and we're now going to knit. We're back on the right side again. So we'll knit all the stitches to the end. So we're back on row 6 now, and we're going to work the same pattern as we always do on the wrong side, but we're going to offset it slightly so that the ribbing alternates. So where we've had knit stitches, we'll want a couple of purl stitches there, and that's what's going to create the basket weave sections. And where we've had purl stitches, we'll want the knit stitches to go all across those and to either side. So that's what we're going to be doing next. To offset it, we're going to start by knitting 5 stitches. And now we're going to continue working the same purl 2, knit 4 repeat that we have for the back. So there we can see just above the centre of our knit stitches we now have purl stitches, and over our purl stitches here we have 4 knit stitches centred over the 2 purl stitches here, and that's what we're going to do all the way along, purl 2, knit 4 until we have 1 stitch remaining, and we'll knit that one. That's our selvage or edging stitch. And there's our 1 stitch at the end, which we'll knit. So we have 5 knit stitches at either end. Let's turn now, and we're going to work on row 7. We're going to start that with a knit 1. That's our edging stitch, and then we're going to work our right side repeat of purl 4, knit 2 to the last 5 stitches. So that's our 4 purl stitches and our 2 knit stitches. So let's keep working that purl 4, knit 2 repeat to the end. And so with just 5 stitches to go, we are going to purl 4 and knit 1. Turn your work, and we're now on row 8. Row 8 is the same as row 5, which we worked 2 rows ago. So we're going to start by knitting 5. And then we'll purl 2. And that knit 5, purl 2 is our repeat for this row. So we're going to continue this until we're at the last stitch. With 1 stitch left, we're going to knit that stitch as we always do with our edging stitch. So let's turn this to our right side now that we've completed the full repeat. And we can easily see there that the basket weave pattern is appearing now with our vertical sections and our horizontal stripes looking as if they're interwoven. And we're going to repeat those 8 rows, row 1 to row 8, another 5 times for a square cloth. So now I've completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more pattern repeats, and you can see that each row looks like 2 strips of woven basket weave, and so it looks like we've got 12 woven strips in this direction. Now we need to cast off, and it's a simple cast off along this edge. You could cast off in pattern if you want to, but this will be hidden by the edge, so I'm just going to cast off knitwise all the way along. And you can use any cast off you like, really. Again, it will be hidden by the edge. So now we're going to start working the edging. I'm going to use this red yarn to work the edging, which will look like little cherries around the edge of our basket. We're going to pick up a stitch in each of these row end stitches, the little gaps between the garter ridges forming the edge of the cloth. So we'll pick up one stitch through here, one through here, one through here. Next we're going to work our mini bobble, and this will always be worked into the final row end stitch of each pattern repeat. So we'll be working one here, one here, one here, and so on all the way down the side. Start by pushing your needle through the next row end stitch. Yarn over and knit into the front and the back of the row end stitch, just as if it were a normal stitch. So our bobble is now made of 2 stitches and a yarn over. Turn your work. You're going to purl into those first 2 stitches and into the yarn over. You're going to purl through the back loop. So you have to rotate your needle towards you to pick up the back loop and purl through it. And there's your 3 stitches on the bobble. Turn your work to the front, and now you are going to knit into the front and back of each of those 3 stitches. Front, back, front, back, front and back. So we now have 6 stitches on our bobble. Rotate the work again, and now even though this is the wrong side, we're going to knit, and we're going to knit 3 together, and we'll do that twice. Make sure your needle goes right through the 3 stitches and pull the yarn through. So place the needle knitwise through the next 3, wrap the yarn round and pull the yarn through. This can feel a little bit tight. That's because we're working with yarn that's a little bit heavy for the needles. We picked a smaller needle size for our yarn. Now pull over the first of those 2 stitches onto the second one and place the bobble on your working needle with all the other stitches. So that's your first bobble worked. You can push the bobble a little bit to the front before starting to pick up the next stitches. So again, we're going to work across 1 pattern repeat, 2 basket weave stripes, and in the last row end stitch, we'll make the next bobble. So when you reach the corner, you'll have worked a bobble in the last row end stitch here. And then we're going to want to work along the cast on edge. So to do that, we're going to pick up a stitch in the first 4 stitches now, not 3 stitches as we did on the row ends. And then we're in the 5th stitch, we're going to make a new mini bobble. To make the count work out, you will have to work in the first and last stitch of the cast on and again on when you work on the cast off edge. And so that means that the the row end stitch that we've worked the mini bobble in will also pick up a stitch in. So we've worked the mini bobble in there, but we can also pick up another stitch through that stitch. So we've picked our first one up under the garter stitch collar here, which made our selvage or our edging stitch. And now we're going to work the next 3 stitches along these purl stitches here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll be working our mini bobble in the last stitch of this purl section here. So needle through, yarn over, work into the front and the back of that cast on edge stitch. So that's 3 stitches in our mini bobble. Turn the work, purl the first 2 of those, and then purl through the back loop of the next one, the yarn over. Turn again, knit into the front and back of each of those stitches, my tip here is to try and keep these stitches quite loose, as otherwise it's difficult to work the next row on the back. So you can see we now have 6 stitches in our mini bobble there, and now we're going to knit 3 together. Once, and then the next 3 together as well. And this is where I'm appreciating that I kept those stitches quite loose. And then we pull the first of those 2 over the one that we've just done, and then bring the yarn back through before we pass that stitch onto our working needle. So our bobble wants to sit at the front, and we can continue now picking up the stitches, and then we'll be working another mini bobble here. We'll be doing that all the way along to the edge. So we've worked our way all around the cloth now. We worked along the row end stitches here, the cast on edge, the row end stitches here, and the cast off edge. And we can see that in each of the corners we had to work a bobble in the row end stitch that forms the corner stitch, and we also had to pick up a stitch in the same stitch to go along the next side. When we come to the last corner, it's the other way around. We've already picked up our first stitch in the row end stitch, and so we're going to work our final bobble into the cast on stitch that forms the same stitch. And with the last stitch, just pull the yarn through and you can trim the end. Be sure to leave plenty to weave in, because with the cotton yarn you want the ends woven in one direction and back again in the other direction, so that it holds nice and securely. Of course, cotton yarns are a little bit more slippery and prone to sliding out than other types of yarn. But that's our cloth pretty much finished. I'll weave in the ends and then we'll take another look.